I believe there's citicoline in 5-Hour Energy. There are plenty of energy drinks that you get at the store, at the gas station, that now contain nootropics.
Do you remember what you set out to be, or defeated by this disease?
What's up, everybody? And this is the Thunder Channel. On nootropics, on testosterone, on male performance. Subscribe to the channel if you're into that stuff. Hit the bell, please, to get notified of all future content. Got a coupon code for you guys for product. We got code 15 now, which will take 15% off a clean stimulant nootropic. It's called Torque. You can get it at livecortex.com. This stuff is exceptionally powerful. And I want to also mention that I situated all of our digital guides on the homepage of livecortex.com. They were sort of buried in the menu, and I put them on the homepage for those of you that are trying to learn about nootropics to have easy access to these guides. All right, so what I want to do is I want to get into this video of this guy. Apparently he's a doctor, and he's got some psychiatrists, I believe, on the show. It's a public TV show, right? But what it highlights is they're discussing nootropics and really the utility of them and whether or not they're effective. What this show highlights is how mainstream thinks about nootropics. Again, as popular as they are, in our communities, like, mainstream still kind of isn't on it. As I did the video somewhat recently on the Nootopia company, like, there are more and more companies springing up. They're recognizing it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, right? And so that's going to pervade the usage of nootropics and even the phrase nootropics into the sort of public consciousness a lot more. But like, still, it's kind of this weird black hole where people continue to conflate the use of nootropics with things like Adderall and Vyvanse and otherwise pharmaceutical dopamine stimulants, but at the same time negate the idea that they are effective and should be used, etc. So I just want to jump right into this video and show you guys what I'm talking about. Let's respond.
Can you become smarter just by taking a pill? They're called nootropics. In 2017, nearly 30% of Americans say they had used some form of smart drug. That number is skyrocketing. A new wave of brain-enhancing substances called nootropics have been sweeping the nation. Proponents claim they do everything from increasing your focus to boosting your mood to even strengthening your memory. People are taking them to vault ahead of the competition and keep their brain in overdrive. They can be prescription medications or over-the-counter supplements. Whether they are prescribed or sold over the counter, these pills supposedly give your brain power a huge boost.
All right, so right away, obviously, again, the conflating of nootropics with pharmaceutical stimulants or over-the-counter products. I mean, yeah, there are some compounds that you can buy as supplements. Uridine monophosphate would be one of them. Citicoline is another. Some people consider ginkgo to be a nootropic. Obviously, things like alpha-GPC. But no, pharmaceutical dopamine stimulants are not nootropics. This is the big issue when mainstream goes public and discusses nootropics. Let's continue.
Are these truly magic medications for a more powerful brain? This is my brain. This is my brain on nootropics. Dr. Sportelli, thanks for still being here. I took one this morning. I feel great. I feel smart. I love nootropics.
What you have?
That sounds like
what you do.
That sounds like amphetamine to me.
Yes,
So I confess, I've never taken one of these.
What about caffeine? Isn't caffeine
my
a
goodness,
nootropic?
you just
Okay,
said
but
she
we
did
were-
it. This is true.
Okay,
This
it is.
Yeah, I mean, what's in your coffee?
Actually, I did just have a coffee, so I am on a nootropic of sorts.
Right, so just quickly to make a point, yes, there's a lot of mainstream that doesn't really recognize nootropics as a thing, but yet they're going to consume coffee, which effectively is a nootropic via its A1 and A2 adenosine receptor binding. At the same time, I've said this before, so maybe this is beating a dead horse for a lot of you that have been watching my content for years, but dude, there is tyrosine. I believe there's citicoline in 5-Hour Energy. There are plenty of energy drinks that you get at the store, at the gas station, that now contain nootropics. So they're taking them anyway. They just don't recognize that they're nootropics. Let's continue.
Yes.
But
Yes.
in fairness, we're talking about the pill form. People are going online and buying them, and there's all these claims, hey, we're going to make you smarter, better
Here we go.
concentration. What are these things? How do they work? And do they work?
All right, multi-billion-dollar industry. We all want to be smarter and faster and more competitive. So here's the deal, guys. We actually have
Oh, great. The black-haired Zach Morris is going to tell us. Let's listen to what he has to say.
medications that we call nootropics. So let's touch on those first. So we have the stimulants, right? We do have like Adderall. We have medicines like modafinil, which is also a stimulant, but works on the orexin system, which is our sleep-wake cycle, kind of keeps us awake. And then we also have medicines that slow down the progression of Alzheimer's disease that work with neurotransmitters such as the glutamate neurotransmitter and acetylcholine. So we do have medicines that help people cognitively if they have a deficit, right? This is the important point. And because of this, scientists and people go, wait a minute, if it helps with ADHD, maybe I could take it. Maybe it'll make me smarter. If it reduces the progression of Alzheimer's and I'm fine, I'm going to take that. It's going to
Okay, so they're going to get into this very famous argument. It's really not, I don't even think I can give it like that positive recognition of saying it's famous. It's just an overused, very poorly researched, sort of like underwhelming argument that nootropics can't really be administered and then reach positive effects in people that don't have deficits, which is obviously untrue, and we're going to get to that. But one thing I wanted to mention is, again, the conflating of the use of nootropics with pharmaceutical stimulants like Adderall and Vyvanse. Now, there's one exception, and he mentioned it, and that's modafinil, right? And that's predominantly because it tends to come with a lot less of a side effect profile, be less addictive, has hosts of different mechanisms other than just binding to the dopamine transporter and preventing the reuptake of dopamine, which is largely what methylphenidate and Adderall analogs do. Let's continue.
make me smarter. Unfortunately, these medicines do help people with deficit, but they don't help people that don't.
If you don't truly have a deficit, but you opt to take these because you think it's going to enhance your performance, is that dangerous?
Here we go.
It can be. Medicines that I just explained are not benign medicines. They're very strong medicines. And there's many contraindications, and there's a lot of issues combining with other meds and over-the-counter medicines. Now look, I wish this stuff worked, guys, and we see this, omega-3s have been studied for brain health. Vitamins. Creatine, vitamins, B complexes, there are all types of things out there. And unfortunately, we've just looked and looked and looked, and the meta-analysis just doesn't
Where did you look, bro?
support it. So unfortunately, guys, I'm giving it a thumbs down as far as if they work. But wait a minute, I'm gonna save everybody a ton of money, right? What does work in the research, ready? Well, coffee, we can talk about coffee, but a good night's sleep, hydration, nutrition, and reduction in stress have all shown positively to correlate with improved cognitive function.
All right, so that's basically the end of the video. Now, there's a couple things that I want to clear up, obviously, or just kind of discuss. I think this is a great video for commentary. I'm not sure what research this guy was looking at, the black-haired Zach Morris wannabe. But, I mean, there are plenty of papers that conclusively show us the effects of nootropics. I mean, when you're affecting neurochemistry in a very direct way, you're going to have profound responses. Here's a paper called Activation of the Reticulothalamic Cholinergic Pathway by Major Metabolites of Aniracetam, in which I think the relevant part of the study is, thus, these data provide that aniracetam can facilitate central cholinergic neurotransmission via both metabolites. Based on its pharmacokinetic profile, N-anisole GABA may contribute to the clinical effects of aniracetam mainly by acting on the reticulothalamic cholinergic pathway. Now, we know that aniracetam forces the hippocampus to release extra acetylcholine. We know it also is an allosteric modulator of the AMPA receptor, which is a subtype of the glutamate receptor. And we know that binding to the AMPA receptor facilitates LTP. And of course, we wouldn't have anecdotals like this one. Aniracetam, my personal impression, my life has changed. Where a user goes, this is the first time I've ever taken something that has truly improved my cognitive capacity. My mind has never been so clear. This is the first day taking. I took 750 milligrams 3 times throughout the day. I've been battling with severe stress, anxiety, and depression. For the first time, I feel optimistic. I can actually bear myself and to complete my studying and my work. Now, he goes on to talk about some other stuff. And again, these things wouldn't exist if nootropics weren't neuroactive. Again, mainstream, I don't know where they're looking. I don't know, probably down some black hole. I think they're selectively turning their heads is what I honestly believe about it. They're a great paper to look at regarding one of the most popular kind of dopamine regeneration or otherwise dopaminergic system aiding nootropics, 9-methylbeta-carbolene or 9-MEBC. I'll take you to this paper where I'm going to read the relevant part of this study, which says that we found that 10 days, but not 5 days, critically important point in people trying to restore dopaminergic tone and function. You got to give it time with 9-MEBC. A pharmacological treatment with 9-MEBC improves spatial learning in the radial maze, elevates dopamine levels in the hippocampal formation, and results after 10 days of treatment in elongated, more complex dendritic trees and higher spine numbers on granule neurons in the dendate gyrus of 9-MEBC treated rats. Our results demonstrate that beyond its neuroprotective and neurorestorative and anti-inflammatory effects. 9-MeO-BC acts as a cognitive enhancer in a hippocampus-dependent task, and that behavioral effects may be associated with stimulatory impact on hippocampal dopamine levels and dendritic and synaptic proliferation. Again, this is not new to those of us in the nootropics community that have been using research chemicals and nootropics to improve our cognitive performance when we don't have dementia and we don't have neurodegeneration. But, for the sake of the argument, I just wanted to put this out there. And in these cases, we also would not have, if Zach Morris was right, we wouldn't have anecdotals like this on Reddit in the nootropics subreddit, which goes, reversing stimulant tolerance, 9-MeO-BC is the pinnacle, regeneration of dopaminergic neurons. Where I'll cut to the relevant factor here regarding dopamine, regarding stimulant tolerance, because this is a phenomenon that people have reported for many years, going on 4 or 5 years now. He goes, I've been using 15 to 30 milligrams once a day in the mornings for only a week now, and my 40 milligram Vyvanse dosage is back at full throttle. The magic is back. I'm literally back at stage 1 of amphetamine, the drug you love to hate. It's as if I took it for the first time, and honestly, I'd prefer dropping to 20 milligrams now. First of all, I'd say that's great. I mean, it's great that now you can lower the dose of your amphetamine, but yeah, through the restoration of dopaminergic function, through what looks to be in the literature gene expression upregulation that enhances essentially dopamine neuron generation, then yes, as a result of that, you're going to have a better stimulant tolerance. Anecdotally, I have countless clients that started taking 9-MeO-BC and now their caffeine hits better, the dynamine hits better, their teocrine is more markedly noticeable, and so on. I wanted to take you to another paper on ataracetam, which highlights the enhancement of cortical dopamine and serotonin release via the cholinergic action that ataracetam has, which is something that we don't often talk about, but which I think the anecdotals line up with in people taking ataracetam, and it goes like this. Additionally, when P-anisic acid, another metabolite of ataracetam, and N-acylGABA were locally perfused into the PFC, the prefrontal cortex, they induced dopamine and 5-HT release in the same region, respectively. These results indicate that ataracetam enhances DA and 5-HT release by mainly mediating the action of N-acylGABA that targets not only somatodendritic nicotinic acetylcholine receptors and MDMA receptors, but also presynaptic nicotinic acetylcholine receptors. So again, I'm not sure where Zach Morris was looking for research on this, like that the research just doesn't pan out and we just can't find it. But again, I think they're selectively turning a blind eye. I want to take you to an additional paper on, actoprotectors in general, which are essentially compounds that some of which are nootropics that act to allow you to perform better under heavy stress conditions, where they mention bromantane, which is a very popular, kind of dopamine enhancing nootropic via enhancing the conversion of your precursor into dopamine. Explain some of the mechanisms of action and saying that the mechanism of action of bromantane is based on the facility to increase the activity of the lower centers of the central nervous system, the hypothalamus, the reticular nuclei, the operculum, the hippocampus. It does not exert any expressed action on noradrenergic mediators, but implements the activation properties through the dopaminergic system. And when you look further into the literature, we see that it's basically fostering the expression of the dopa decarboxylase and tyrosine hydroxylase dopamine conversion enzymes. I guess we're just making all this up, right? And of course, we have anecdotals like this on Reddit, titled Bromantane is Life-Changing, where he goes, hey, I made a post last weekend. It was deleted because it was my first experience. Before last weekend, when I started using Bromantane, I had anxiety all hours of the day. General anxiety, social anxiety, you name it. I struggled with ADHD and everything that goes along with that. I started taking Bromantane and all of this went away within an hour and a half of taking the substance. I spent so much money in recent months on supplements trying to figure out or find something that didn't make me high or under the influence while also managing these symptoms. I found nothing. He goes on to say, this was until I tried Bromantane. I am a whole new me on this stuff. I don't feel like I'm on anything at all. Life feels amazing. I have absolutely no anxiety and I'm able to do the anti-ADHD things without a struggle. The list goes on. Now, ADHD is a very complicated condition in which I think dopamine transporter function is sort of gone awry. So, I mean, don't quote me on the mechanism of action here, but what I think I remember reading in the literature is that it's essentially an overexpression of the dopamine transporters, which would then remove synaptically available dopamine. In the case of taking Bromantane, you're kind of getting in the middle of that process and creating more synaptically available dopamine by forcing the conversion from precursor. So what's the moral of the story? Yes, mainstream is still conflating the use of nootropics with compounds like Vyvanse and Adderall. Okay, I guess they don't know any better or they're being selectively ignorant. Who knows? This insane notion that nootropics don't have neuroactive effects sex is obviously a very poorly researched statement. And, what do you know, right? It's a guy on some TV show that, I don't know, I've never heard of, that looks like Zach Morris. I don't like the conflating of nootropics with Vyvanse and Adderall. It's one of the things that gives kind of this community a bit of a bad name, and it's really just a misunderstanding. I mean, how crazy is that? All it is a misunderstanding. Again, the only exception to this rule is modafinil because of its side effect profile, which is a lot less than Adderall and analogs, and because of the fact that it's got a multifaceted mechanism of action, not the least of which is inhibiting GABA, and obviously working on, as that guy correctly said, the orexin system to promote wakefulness. All right, as I said in the beginning, Torque Stack right now, exceptional mental energy, stimulation that you're going to notice. Compounds with heavy research behind them to show us conclusively that they're effective. You can buy Torque, livecortex.com. The coupon code is 15 now. That'll save you 15% on what is probably the most purchased nootropic stack on the internet, and if not, a very close second. I mean, we blow out of inventory because people just like it. People get it on reorder because, look, it's predictable, good, solid brain energy. As I mentioned, I situated all of our digital downloadable guides and books into one sort of section on the homepage that teach you how to use nootropics. I mean, sure, we have Nootropics courses. Those are video courses of yours truly if you want to watch those for an hour. But at the same time, you can get something like Stacklist, which is a done-for-you list of highly effective nootropic stacks. You can literally go buy it and download it right away at livecortex.com. There are a ton of questions that always come through about racetams and the usage of it and how to actually properly stack them. Well, I wrote a book about it. It's called The Racetam God Guide, and you can get that too at livecortex.com and instantly download it. Those of you looking for something a little more interactive, Smarter, Better, Faster is a book that I wrote that it encompasses basically every nootropic, right? So it's not just racetam specific, it's all nootropics in general, but it's an interactive audiobook where like you get a video file, you'll see the pages turning of the book, and I'm reading it. You can get Smarter, Better, Faster, livecortex.com. It is a sick product, very, very relevant still to this day. All right, everybody, pleasure hanging out with you. So much more content coming this week. I look forward to it. There'll probably be another post tonight. I'm on fire, baby. Let's go. Have a great day.
But if you choose the right means to carry out and pursue